He's Black Guy Fawkes, and I'm the John F. Crackerty to his Melanin Monroe. And together we are Fawkes and Friends. Today, the third friend who we are talking to about creativity and social justice is Brian Walker from A Day Without Love.
1, 2, 3, 4. From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, what he got is fucking wrong. His land's not made for you and me. We're chatting built the wall as we tear down bathroom stalls. And watch our kids get slaughtered as they run straight through the hall. Let's go!
Ian, welcome back to your show. Before we get into who we're talking to and why, let me know a little bit about what you have coming up on your calendar.
Well, it's looking pretty busy. So for those who aren't aware, from May 16th to May 20th, I'll be up in Montreal for Pusa Fest. I'll be doing a pre-Pusa Fest party with Kali Masi and a bunch of other people. Then I'll be playing the actual Pusa Fest with Matt Pless, Cat Bite, Rebuilder, Lord Jane Grace, Strike Anywhere Against Hall Authority, Billy Liar. The lineup just goes on and on. So tickets are on sale for that right now. Give you tickets as soon as you can. And May 10th, I will be in Frostburg, Maryland at the Deep End with Brian Walker, Deal Without Love, Justin Arena, and Preston Bomber. And this is a full band show. So get ready, because it's going to go down. It's going to be a good time.
And as an added bonus, you get to see me there too. Not doing anything, just there, just enjoying the vibes.
Exactly. Good vibes only.
But yeah, today we're talking to Brian Walker, who is an amazing talent who is currently out of the Boston, Massachusetts area. Ian, tell me a little bit about why you love Brian so much.
Me and Brian get along just because we are both just Black male musicians in a folk punk community trying to make it and dealing with so many things socially and politically. We met during the pandemic, like during the live stream, we just connected online. And we just met just recently, like maybe in the last two or 3 years or so. And again, he's my boy, just like with MJ Bones. Like, love him to death.
Well, let's not waste any time and let's get into our talk with Brian Walker from A Day Without Love. Joining us today, we have Brian Walker, who goes by the name A Day Without Love with his music. Brian, welcome to Fawkes and Friends.
How's it going? I'm glad to be here on Fawkes and Friends.
I was just talking with Ed about this, but I'm trying to remember, how did we meet?
In person, I think we met over sushi 3 or 4 years ago, post-pandemic. But like knowing each other digitally, I think I found out about you because I played with a Maryland band called Pronouns. There's this person named Chris, can't think of their last name right now, but Chris and I met like in 2015 or 2014. It was 2015 or 2014. And I played a Maryland show. And Chris was like, Brian, you're like the only Black musician in Pennsylvania that's doing DIY. And I was like, I don't know too many Black musicians on the East Coast, period. And then I kept in touch with Chris for a while. I still am in touch with Chris. And they told me to listen to you. And I was like, oh, I like this a lot. So,
Man, I couldn't remember it was that, because I remember, of course, we had sushi and Asian cuisine in Philly together right before
Yeah.
Drunk Fourth Side weekend. But I think the first time I think I heard of you was the Coping with Dystopia.
That too. We played Coding Dystopia in 2020, and that was an era in itself because it was a streaming endeavor to raise money for music and other nonprofit organizations by throwing a Zoom concert every Friday of the pandemic. I think it occurred for like 17 or 18 weeks straight. And every Friday from like 4 p.m. Eastern to about 1 a.m. Eastern, there was an artist playing once every 25 minutes with a changeover. And it started with a group of touring folk punks, and I just happened to be one of the organizers. That was crazy because my phone never stopped blowing up for like 18 weeks straight. So yeah.
As folks who expect audience feedback that you can feel in the moment, what was it like doing all of that stuff digitally and online during the pandemic?
Other than the fact that like it inspired a song for my record, A Stranger That You Met Before, like Coping with Dystopia, because that existed, That's why I wrote the song How Did We? But like the experience of it kind of made me realize like, oh, I'm a lot more interconnected than I thought I was, because keep in mind, those concerts were having people like Lost Caution Ninjas, AJJ was playing it. You had Crywank playing it. You had Apes of the State playing it. You had a lot of really big names playing them, but you also had a lot of names of people that were like just getting involved in folk punk. And the fact that I was asked to be an organizer kind of was cool, because like April from Apes of the State, like people don't realize that I share a song with them, Defend Seltzer, which is like a parody song. But also people don't realize like once a year, we always play a show regardless. They were the one that brought me into it. But then when I saw all the other people that are involved, I was like, oh shit, like I know this person because I played a show with them 1 year ago. I know this person because they're on my podcast. It kind of made me feel like, oh, everyone's 1 degree of separation from each other, whether they realize it or not, especially the folk punk scene.
Hey, 'cause I think that's when I first found about you. I think Danielle from Out of System Channel, I think she's one to hit me up about. And it was, and that's when I first saw you. I'm like, oh shit, another one.
Yeah.
I felt let some down. Then I got more contact with you. Then I'll walk to MJ Bones, and
Yep.
it's nice. It's nice connecting with more black musicians around, like in that scene, and like adjacent in that scene too. Because to you, that's why it's stuff like Barties. That's why it's got like proper as well.
Yeah. And see, during that time, so like 2015 to 2020 for me, I saw Proper and Barties often just on weekends. Like it almost got to a point where like there weren't even shows going on. I would just come up to New York just because, right? And I also got them on Coping with Dystopia, because I thought to myself, like, we got to expand beyond folk punk. It's got to diversify all the umbrellas of DIY. And I wanted to get on because like some of the charities were to like Black Lives Matter organizations or, bail funds and things like that. So that definitely needed to happen.
Let's talk about the stranger you met before in your record, because one, you just sold out all your bikes. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Second pressing is coming. I just haven't announced it yet, but I'm announcing it here on Fox and Friends.
Well, yes.
Exclusive air horn noises.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I feel like you're in production for that for a while, right? How long does it take to work on that record?
So just the production, we're not talking about the release part. If we're just taking the time, it was about a 6 to 7 month endeavor, but actually even less than that. But because COVID happened and schedules happened, the thing took like 2 years, because like I wrote all the songs for that record late 2019, right? Like I finished writing the record, and then, I had only tracked drums for half the record before the pandemic happened. I tracked like rough scratch guitars and some synths here and there. And Kitsy and I were like, oh, this thing's happening. Well, just let me know when you can record again, right? So there was a lull from March 2020 to October or November of 2020 before I even recorded. So during that time, I was just essentially asking myself, how can I make these songs better? How can I be a better singer? How can I keep writing songs for other records? So like, to be honest, like as a side note, I have like a catalog of unreleased songs that I've written from 2020 to now, because I've just been focusing on this record, you know what I mean? So you got back to it, and then, with Kitsy's schedule, because keep in mind, Kitsy works as a software engineer, and they also do live sound for bands. So like there were times where like we couldn't record because they were on tour. We finished recording and tracking everything November or December of 2021. And then it was done mastering and mixing by about May or June of 2022. And then that's when we started doing the singles and all that stuff.
You said you really saw back in 2019, and then it didn't come out until just recently. I guess in that time period, I wonder this as just another songwriter. Were there any songs that you just kind of, I don't know, it sounds weird, but kind of fell out of love with, like you just didn't really resonate with anymore, you think? Or
Yeah, there's 2 songs that I don't really play live, and that's Day to Day. That was more of me just trying to like infuse neo soul into the record, but still making it punk, because I do play with neo soul bands, and like the genre shift of the record, the point of it was to like give homage to all the different types of to play with. But like I don't play that solo. One, because like it doesn't feel as fun by yourself, and I don't play that with the band because like that song really doesn't fit with the rest of our songs. You know what I mean? Like in the set list. But maybe one day I'll play it if I play a more like jazzier or write a jazzier record. And then the other song that I don't play that often is the last track, Storyteller. And that's not even because of like lack of resonance. It's just more like it's one of those songs where I go, why did I write that song? Like people like it, but I'm not like I don't feel so detached from it. And then Never. So yeah, 3 out of the 13 songs I don't play, and I played all the other songs on the record.
Ian, at your record release thing, didn't you say there were a couple songs that you were retiring for reasons?
I mean, yeah, there were some. There's like a couple that pretty much most of the just lullabies I really have struggled playing live just because I wrote those while I was in a very, very dark place. It's something that I just really don't like doing. Not because I don't like the song. I'm proud of every song that I wrote. But it's just a very that's just the time that I really don't want to revisit. Like I played like Great Sisyphus and everything because I do love that song. But I normally just don't play anything else from that record live. That said about your record too, it is really fucking good. Like I mean that from bottom of my heart. It is a really fucking good record, and it caught my attention from the get go. I love skits.
Oh
And
yeah,
on
you have to have skits. Yeah.
I don't feel like anybody really does that anymore, and it's just so nostalgic for me. Like I remember listening to like old '90s records, like hip hop records,
Yes.
and it had skits on them.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point of doing it because like it's kind of my way of like paying homage to like, Wu-Tang, Biggie, all those acts. And even rock records had skits back in the day. Right. And I just kind of feel like we need to bring them back as opposed to doing like the typical format, like track 1 and track 8 or 10 is like the longest song and then a bunch of stuff in the middle. Like I'd rather just kind of give it an experience. And like I wanted the skits to sound so abruptly like random because like the record kind of is and is not random. Like it's random in the sense of like how I go from talking about wanting to play in a house to the appreciation of like the arts to hey, I'm a storyteller. Like that is random in its sense. But like, between what would you do in Nacho versus Taco, I wanted to really talk about like in the beginning of the record, are you a naturalist or are you a corporatist? Right. Like, and how do you fall in between as like a creative? And the Nacho versus Taco is like, I wanted to highlight the food component of being an artist, which I don't think is talked about enough because a lot of times when you're on the road, you're kind of eating the same thing all the time and it could be maddening, but like at the same time, like, especially if you're playing those like West Coast towns, the real option is nacho or taco.
And on the West Coast, you have the option of In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah. You got to get the secret menu stuff, but yeah, In-N-Out Burger.
What?
Yeah.
What is your in and out order?
I kind of forgot the name. So if I got the names wrong, I like the animal burger, right? Animal style.
Animal style. Yep.
Yeah. I like animal style. And then like, I like the French fries with, there's a special way you could do the French fries. What is it called?
That you can
Well,
also
I
do
think
animal style fries.
No, I think it's
Animal
well
style.
done.
Well done. That's right. No, it's well done. So I like well done with the animal style fries. That's what I like.
Nice. And since we're talking about like geography and locations and like branding two things, because obviously we don't have In-N-Out where any of us live
Yeah.
right now. Your shirt for caffeine just killed me because that was just perfect branding.
Oh yeah.
I just kind of like, how did you tie all that together? Like,
So basically, I'm trying to like just put out a lot of shirts this year so I could raise money for doing a Euro tour. And I just want to like just put that out there. But in terms of the caffeine shirt, how I looked at it is like I'm from Philly, but I currently live in Quincy. And Quincy, if anyone does or does not know, is the home of Dunkin' Donuts, right? And my song Caffeine is an homage to the 9-to-5ers, to the tech workers, to the musicians, to the people that just basically live, die, and bleed coffee, right? So where I live, like I have a studio, 2-person apartment with me and another songwriter. And there's a Dunkin' literally not even a whole street block away. Like I could look outside my window. I can't see the Dunkin', but I can walk there, right? And I looked at the colors and I was like, this is interesting. And I saw someone leave the Dunkin' with an Irish flag. And I was like thinking to myself, like, what if I made a shirt that was like the Irish flag, but used the Dunkin' colors, right? And then when I was done with the design, I was like, wait, this is a double entendre if I haven't said it myself, because that's also the lesbian flag. And a lot of my audience is queer. And like, I've already released like pink and blue tank top shirts for like, trans visibility. And I've done like I've done black shirts for Black Lives Matter. And I was like, I'm just going to keep the brand going. And I released those shirts, but I intentionally made it a limited edition because I don't want Dunkin' Donuts to sue me.
I was about to ask, are we any stickers made?
Stickers? I haven't thought about that, but I probably will do some stickers in the future. I haven't done stickers in a while.
When I was up your way after Ian opened for the Violent Femmes and I stayed for about 10 days to wait for the Pet Needs Skinny Lister show I was already going to in Boston, the one tourist thing that I insisted on doing was going to the very first Dunkin'.
Yeah, I live 6 minutes from there. Yeah,
Nice.
It's real.
So as a former Philly, current Boston person,
Yeah.
coffee, Dunkin' or Wawa?
I'm going to say Dunkin' because the thing is, Philly coffee goes beyond Wawa. Like, my Philly coffee is tied across 3 different places, and that's Elixir Coffee, La Colombe, and Reanimator. But like, there's so many other ones. Like, I also like Green Line Coffee. I like Chestnut Hill Coffee. Like, Philly's more of a coffee city than Boston is. But I feel like if you choose Wawa versus Dunkin', I'm going to go Dunkin' because I feel like Dunkin' workers, even in Philly, are more likely to hook you up with deals, whereas Wawa is like, you come here, you fill yourself a cup, and you leave. Yeah,
I've only been to Wawa, I think maybe like a few times in my life, but I
sure.
live in Cumberland, so it's just
Yeah.
Sheets country over here.
Yeah. I mean, Sheets, I've never had Sheets coffee, but like Sheets is a beast in its own self. So that's a whole other story. But yeah.
Spoiler alert, you will soon.
Okay.
And then, of course, me being from Baltimore, I love my Royal Farms. Have you had Royal Farms fried chicken before?
Yes, I have. Royal Farms is lit. Like, if I ever take the risk of writing a song about fried chicken, which is sus, but like, if I do write a song about, I have to include Royal Farms. Like, I don't think I'll ever write a song about fried chicken. If I do,
Yes.
I gotta include Royal Farms.
Oh,
I broke you.
If this was a text conversation, this is where he would type D space E space A space D.
that's our collab song. We're going to write a fried chicken song.
Oh boy,
It's going to cure racism or make it worse. We'll fix
Yeah.
them both though. It's fine.
for sure. I'll play all the banjo in it too.
Hey, you'll be coming down here soon, and we'll be able to drink some Sheets coffee. And when you come down, we'll still Royal Farms with you.
I would definitely be down with that because that also falls around the time I could take like a cheat meal because trivial fact, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. So I've been taking a break from fried food and coffee as like some ways. And I said, like, let's do 90 days, with some cheats allowed after 60 days. And when we play is after the 60-day mark. So I'll plan my first coffee break. Yeah. And I'll feel it hard. So yeah.
There are worse ways to do it. Pretty much all the sheets out here now have that like it grinds it instantly for you on the spot thing.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's probably more powerful coffee too. So yeah. Yeah, like it's been since February 26th since I've had coffee.
Anyway, you're coffee free. You're booze free too. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
right?
I've been booze free for 9 years. So that's not
Congratulations
changing.
on that.
But thank you. Yeah, that's not changing.
Has giving up caffeine been hard?
The first week sucked, right? But I will say I miss it and I don't miss it. I miss it in the sense of like, wow, it's hyper productive, but I don't miss it in the sense that like I'm sleeping more than I ever had in my entire adult life. You got what I'm saying? So like, caffeine empowered me to do things like I could tour the whole United States driving 7 hours a day with no breaks, right? Like I love that. But it also wasn't good for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think like I don't plan on giving up coffee for life, but I do plan on changing my relationship to it. Makes any sense? Because like I was drinking like 4 to 5 cups a day before I gave it up. And I used to even be worse. So
Yeah, man, I feel like man, it's just rolling with like me and April talked about this from April State about
yeah.
just about I guess like not only when you have addiction, but just addiction in general, where
Mhm.
and this drug use like sobriety, where you're not doing just cut off completely. You didn't so you enjoy it in doses or whatever's comfortable for you. So
True. Yeah.
sobriety isn't always like a forever thing. Like you can always just learn to control yourself, learn to like calm those urges.
True. I definitely agree with that.
Let's talk about touring because you have been touring for a while. I see you just tour extensively all over the place, and
Yeah.
and with you just talk about wanting to do a Euro run. How does that look for you? Like planning out routes and everything? Because I struggle with this when it comes to find my own routes. How do you book tours? Like how do you go about it? What tips could you bring to anybody who wants to get into like DIY touring?
Surely. So like, I feel like there's so many different ways to go about it. Like you could ask a band to take you on tour, like a much bigger band. And I'll be honest, I'm very far into that. And I don't know if that's due to pride or I just never took the effort to be like, you brought up, like Ed brought up the Violent Femmes. I've never thought to myself like, hey, Violent Femmes, please pick me. Like you could be that person that could work out, right? But like something that I've done all along is like, use resources like Do DIY and say, hey, my destination is this festival. How do I route it so I'm driving 2 to 3 hours a day and I'm not taking too much time off my day job and I make like a minimum of 50 to a maximum of whatever each day and I sell out my merch. That's kind of like how I've always thought about it because a little profit will go on to do the next thing and the next thing, right? So like, I just announced like 17 dates in the past 24 hours, right? How all those dates came along was because I got invited to play 2 music festivals, right? One was in upstate New York, the other one's in Philly. So because of those 2 music festivals, I was like, well, I live in Boston. So that gives me the South Shore, the South Coast market. That gives me the Rhode Island market. That gives me the Western Mass market. That gives me even New Hampshire and Maine. Then it also gives me upstate New York, New York City, New Jersey, and Philadelphia to play. And that makes sense. Except for New Jersey and Vermont and New York City, I have a show booked in all those towns. But the New York City is about to change. Like I'm working on a Staten Island date right now as we speak. So that's like how I strategize. Now, in terms of networking and getting the stuff booked, I always ask myself, like, who do I know in that town personally? So I have a place to stay. And then who do I know that plays music that I could then get some local support? And then I just built from there. And like, I definitely have seen a lot of growth. Like, for example, my record sold out in under like 6 months, which I mean, the record hasn't even been out for 6 months. And that only happened because I've been doing this touring. I've been podcasting. I've been doing this for a long time, just organically. And that's kind of like the gist of it. And then promotion I could get into if you want me to answer that question too. I always think of it like archive your content that people are going to dive into. So like take, for example, I played at this one venue in Boston and the door person was like, I've been watching your YouTube videos and your TikTok since 2020. Thank God you're here finally, right? I had no idea who he was. But I think the only reason why I was successful enough was because like my name's consistent or like across the board. So like, don't worry so much about being a perfectionist, but more worry about being consistent in your content so that people can access you. And then in terms of like, do podcasts like Fox and Friends, be a friend with Black Guy Fawkes and you'll find the world, find other podcasts because people do listen to that and then say, okay, this person's coming to my town. I listen to this podcast. I'm going to go there. Find the blogs, pitch yourself to the blogs because you're coming to town. Hit the radio. There's so much local radio across the board. And that's pretty much like how I go about it. And then like, that's the stuff I could do in control. And then like the local bands that are playing, then ask them to say like, hey, can you share an Instagram post or whatever? And then next thing you know, like you're playing to 15 to 30 people a day on the road. And then that just grows. And like some shows, of course, are going to be bigger. Like when I did my full US for like 7-8 weeks, like my biggest show was in Tucson, Arizona, of all places, at this venue. And I played with Mastergram. I think we played to like 600 people on a Thursday. like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That that had nothing to do with me. That was all Instagram and TikTok, right? But then the next show, which was in like LA County, I played to like 30 people. So like also be aware of that. Like there's gonna be some shows where you play to a whole bunch of people, and there's gonna be some shows where you play to like just 15, 30 people. But as long as you're selling merch and there's money in your wallet to feed yourself, to have a place to stay and eat, you're doing well.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I was back out on the road, and when I get back out on the road here soon, I always make sure that I just have enough for me to pay for gas,
Yeah.
which I would Prius anyway. So that's a hybrid in and of itself. So that's
Sure.
save money right there, and just make sure that I just have enough for me to eat. Once I just make sure I do sell some merch on the road too. I've
Yeah.
always been I've been very hesitant about that, just because I don't, but I will always have like what ifs in my head. What if this goes
Mhm.
out? Now I have like a plan for me to, I guess, move forward and actually probably get the fuck back out there and start doing this. So
Mhm. And I feel like touring from Virginia to Maine is almost like cheating, because all of our towns where music is held is like 2 hours per commute. And like people in the Midwest and West Coast, they got it hard. Because their commutes are like 4, 6 hours. Like, oh, I'm playing in Seattle, then I'm going to play in Portland. Okay, that's easy. When's your next date? Salt Lake City. Like, that's far.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
I remember my friend riding with Lester. He was driving my friend Derek Zanetti for him
Yeah.
because he was on tour with Michael
Mhm.
France.
that's
I
right.
think they had to drive from. I think they had to drive from Jersey all the way down. I think either a day or like 2 days, all the way down to Orlando or Miami.
No,
I'm like,
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, like that stuff's like, wow, that's all I could say.
I could do that. That said too, while you're out on the road, what fast food shops are you hitting up? What's your favorites?
I don't know if I'm going to do this time around just because I'm 35 and again, I'll have blood pressure. But, I got like 8 years of fast food to tell you about. If I'm in Sheetsland, Sheets. If I'm in certain towns, like for example, Maryland, I'm probably going to get some crab cakes. So like, for example, we're playing like Fox and Friends Fest, right? And the day before I'm playing at Combo Sheet, and I figured it out. To fly from Boston or Philly, depending on what I want to do, for $60 to Denver. Denver is all about green chili and tacos. So I'm probably going to load up on green chili and tacos, play my gig. And then I'm going to fly over to Maryland, to Cumberland, right? And what's Maryland about? Crab cakes. I'm probably just going to live off of green chili and crab cakes for like that weekend. You know what I mean? And then hustle right over back to Philly. So like, I was just kind of trying to get the local food as well as the fast food. Like North Carolina, very big folk punk district. Smithfield's barbecue. That's like your retail barbecue. But also, if you like dig deeper in the Google Maps, if you find any barbecue that has like a Black person's name, like Jackson's or like Mama Ribs, it might sound stereotypical, but go there, because the thing is, you'll get green beans, mac and cheese, and a biscuit with some ribs or hog mugs or burn ends for less than $10.
That's the thing. If that's a Black name or if the menu is stated on the board, you
Yep.
know you're in for the best meal of your life. They put
Exactly.
the whole funk sport in it.
Yeah. So like that's kind of like how I like to eat. I think some things I won't give up, like the Black food, you know what I mean? Like if you ever end up in Atlanta, there's Miss Mary's Tea Room, and that that has some very racial tendencies. Like if you look at the history, I won't take up too much time on there. But before you order anything, you sit down and they give you 7 biscuits. Honestly, like they want you to add food for a couple of days. Like 7 biscuits is a lot for one person.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like counting. I was like, that's a cinnamon biscuit. It's a whole roll. Like it's like just 7 different kinds of bread.
Oh, they're not even the same.
No, they're not.
Shit.
Yeah. So, and that's in Atlanta. So
Yeah, we're booking you a gig down there, Ian. That's my new mission.
My friend Chris Hanner, he actually did artwork for my shirt.
okay.
that I've been selling. He's the one to play down there, so that's probably going to happen. So
Yeah, you really should.
we'll do it later. I want to play there once. I played that at this brewery there, but it was fun, and
That's awesome.
got some lemon pepper wings that were
Yep.
delicious, delightful. But
Yep.
yeah, when I was out on the road in 2022, like I loved stopping at I can't give a White Castle. I fucking love White Castle.
There you go.
And I got turned on to Culver's. That changed
Yeah.
the game for me completely. It is simply the best burgers. I feel like we talked about this like for 3 episodes.
Oh
and
yeah, we just love traveling and eating. And fast food is kind of ubiquitous in American culture. The only one I actually hate is Skyline Chili. Sorry, Cincinnati Palace. That shit's just
So
nasty.
I went to the OG Skyline Chili, and in short, yes, it's nasty, but I do think there's some things worth experiencing and never doing again. So like Skyline Chili is an example, or if you ever play in Rochester, they have the garbage plate. Like experience that, but never do that again. So like
Or Altoona Pizza.
Altoona Pizza is the worst pizza in America, next to St. Louis Pizza. You know, yeah,
what is
like
Louis pizza?
so St. Louis Pizza is so much Altoona Pizza, except the cheese isn't as bad. It's kind of like a Lunchables pizza. Yeah, St. Louis is a lot of good food, but their pizza's slacking.
And I only had the St. Louis was with the barbecue, which was just so on point.
Yeah, the barbecue's great. And then even better is Topeka, Kansas barbecue.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had a camera person just to like follow my food adventures, because I'm so much more than ramen. Like I've tried the barbecue. I've tried the vegan districts. Like I've had fried pickles in like 10 different states. Like, and I've tried a lot of affordable Italian. Italian's a cuisine that doesn't need to be expensive, but that's a whole other story.
You
But yeah.
you do post a lot of ramen.
I do, but there's so much more. So yeah.
He loves his noodles. He loves
Yeah.
man.
Who doesn't?
Noodles.
Yeah.
All right, so ramens are fun. That's the question.
For me, it's ramen. I mean, again, that's another food I gave up to lower my blood pressure. That one I'll probably give up longer than coffee, because coffee is just kind of like, let me re-regulate my sleep schedule, then reintroduce. But ramen, definitely over pho. And then even on top of that, I like mala soups, like the Chinese hand noodle soups with like the chili. Yeah.
Ramen over fun. That pains me inside.
Ian, we might need to rebrand as a food podcast. I don't know.
For
Start
sure.
talking to musicians about what you eat.
Fox and King. That's when we'll get Bobby Flay and Gordon Ramsay and all them on it. That's the next podcast that we're going to do.
But I mean, let's say the quiet part out loud. You've been all over the country doing this.
Yeah.
Any unique challenges that you guys have shared for fairly obvious reasons?
For me, I feel like I'm currently in purgatory because, like, just full disclosure, I'm not currently with a 9 to 5. And that's just because the job market's bad. And like, there's a part of me that says, like, in retrospect, I could have just booked a whole full US tour, but like, logistically, that would have not made sense because it's February and January and March. And those are the worst months you could ever tour. I have hot takes around South by Southwest. I could get that down there, rabbit hole if you want me to. But like, just sticking to the topic, like, I just kind of feel like the best times you want to tour are between the end of March all the way up till like end of October. And my whole thing is like, I was between a rock and a hard place because, yeah, I was getting these pre-orders, but I didn't have enough records to justify a tour, right? Now I have another batch of records, and those records I could tour on, which is why I didn't like do a full US tour yet. And then there's a lot of costs, not just like for food and eating, where it's like, you should probably have like 1,500 minimum and then just try to double that while you're on tour, maybe even triple it. So then that way you could pay your bills back at home. So like right now I'm in purgatory, but like I have the faith that like, hey, it's going to work out. So I'm getting myself out of purgatory. But like, I think the big hard part is like, do I have enough merch to justify a tour? Is the merch coming in time for me to justify a tour? And then third, am I booking the tour at the right time of the year? Because at least for people like myself and Ian, we're playing to college audiences, but also 20 and 30-year-olds. And like 20 and 30-year-olds aren't going out to like Dig Dag Brewery and like Richmond, Virginia in the middle of February. That's just not happening. But they are coming in the middle of May, right before wedding season. And then if you do start playing right after spring break, all those college kids are gonna be like, I'm looking for an excuse to mosh at some basements right before I take my finals. So you have to be like aware of those sort of things. So
I had to worry about getting money on the road too, because again,
Yeah.
it's just Because we are doing cool stuff, we are still kind of lower level, so we're not going to get paid that much. And
Yeah.
when it comes to, I know both of us, we both have like backing bands and
Mhm.
everything too. I feel like I I want to bring my own road with me. Like I really do. I feel like you may have this issue as well, but the issue can be it's one thing if it's just us on the road that we know we can take that hit, but then we have
Yep.
a whole group of other people coming with us too, and
Yeah.
that's less money. And if anything, what happens when we get stuck? And it's and then they all work 9 to 5s, so it'll
Mhm.
be hard for them to come out on the road anyway. And I don't want to have them lose out on money just being out on the road while they have like families and bills and everything to pay. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And like, fortunately, my backing band is a band of bands, meaning like they all have their own thing. So like sometimes I'll try to set it up where like our bands are playing with each other. Or if that's not the case, I try to like make a deal like, hey, we'll just split this 4 ways, or hey, I'll pay for your meal for the day. But otherwise, like I'm very picky about what shows like our full band for the exact same reason.
yeah, it's we're just trying to look out for them, not
Yeah.
necessarily just. And we will make sure that everybody wins at the end of the end of the
Exactly.
day. So we all walk out with a good pretty penny instead of just barely anything.
Exactly.
It's it's something like that. Like I was just think about like those logistics of both traveling, how much stuff I need to order, where am I going to sleep for the evening at, and I'll honestly just like find friends of friends who can
Exactly.
say who can say, hey, yeah, you can crash here. That's totally fine. So I don't have to go to the hassle of buying Airbnb or buying hotel or motel, because that shit adds up, and
It sure does.
that can weigh a lot.
Yep.
Just being on the road too. I mean, I've been all over the country, just not touring as a musician, not traveling the way you guys do. But like, I mean, let's face it, elephant in the room, being black in America in some towns it can be tough. How has the scene that you guys are in either boosted you and made you feel better, safe and secure, or like where's the room to grow that you found?
I'm going to answer this in 2 ways. Like on the road, literally, I've been pulled over 4 times over a course of 8 years of touring. And I'm going to say 100% of the reasons, except for the time I was driving 95 and a 60. It was racial profiling, right? So like, keep in mind, these are only tour related times I've been pulled over. Like I got other pullover stories, but like, yeah, the time I was doing 95 in the state of Pennsylvania to get to a festival, it was Electric City Music Festival in Scranton. I just was late and I was just trying to get on time. That was 100% my fault. I got the ticket. Unfortunately, like the next show I played, I got paid like 5 times as much as I was going to get paid and paid off the ticket. That like worked out. But other times I definitely have gone through it. Like I got pulled over in Wisconsin after playing a fest called the Glacier Valley Music Festival. It's in like literally the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. And there's trailer parks and all that stuff. And like at first I was like, everyone's right wing. I found the alt-right punk festival. Turned out they weren't alt-right at all. They were just a bunch of fish adjacent ball punkers. And they exist, right? And that was cool. But when I was leaving, and just for the record, it was in Cambria, Wisconsin, which like again, it's near Madison, but in the middle of nowhere. I got pulled over and the guy said, you were going 2 miles above the speed limit. This is a hazard. Let's be real, 2 miles. And he goes, it's a music festival. Your license plate says Pennsylvania. And like, he's just asking all these questions. And I truly think he would have given me a ticket, but he didn't, only because at the time I was a person who was more white facing and the officer was Latin. And so with my partner, so like it worked out, but still it was like, or the same thing in South Carolina. I got pulled over after leaving a cookout, and cookout's another fast food place you should probably try when you're on the road. He said, I don't like the way you made that right turn. And then he listens to my music in front of me and goes, because your music is good, no ticket. Got it in Iowa. And that's like they're all like similar stories, but like you have to stop to think to yourself, like, all right, I feel that, right? Now in the scene, I honestly sometimes think like, despite doing this for 11 years, I still sometimes get the race car pity or like the short end of the stick because people don't really believe I am who I am. Like case in point, I've written a song with Apes the State, Friends with Apes, right? But I don't put it on apes to like make me something, but I do think it's a little weird when their fan base goes, "Oh, you're that rapper," and it's like I've been playing the same music as apes for how many years? You know, I'm just that rapper. Like that doesn't feel comfortable, or like sometimes when I'm in certain spaces, no matter where it is in America, people think A Day Without Love is like a white fronted project. Um, or like Justin sometimes tells me that they'll have people that like my music thinking Justin's the singer, which is like crazy because Justin's been drumming for me for only a year. And like Justin will correct them or just say, like, yeah, just buy the merch or whatever. But the whole point is like, why do you think the white person is the face of A Day Without Love and not me? And I've had that with other bandmates in the past where like they think it's the white person and I'm just a figurehead. I used to really take it personally. Now I just go, just keep it pushing forward. And I wish it did change because the reality is like we're here to share a story. And just because the color of our skin's different doesn't mean we're not part of the table.
I do think about our place in the scene as far as black men are concerned, just like just black folk in general are concerned, because it is a very folk punk is very gatekeepy. Oh, punk in general has been very gatekeepy towards people that look like us. Honestly, man, there have been times on the road where people confuse me for being a merch person. There have been times on the road where while I'm playing on stage, the acts that just played right before me was cleaning up their equipment, like right behind, just making all this noise and racket while I'm trying to play on stage. I happened in Cincinnati at Legends, and there have been bands that use me for diversity clout, just so they can make themselves look better, and then brag about what they've done for me on podcasts and everything. And that's a very big thing that has happened to me as well. There are the acts that like to say BLM and our anti-racism. Yeah, they do very blatantly or just very like suspect racist things. I feel like you know we've talked about that before in the past, and I won't say any names, but that's something I do think about when it comes to the scene. When it comes to like white faces and white bands like trying to bring us on, like, why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you care about the music and you actually give a shit? Or are you doing it to make yourself look better? And outside of just like creating me around tokenizing me or tokenizing anybody, what are you doing to help Black folks uplift them?
No, I really appreciate you say that because like I've seen that a lot in like Philadelphia, and I've said this before in like various publications. Like I think it's crazy that Philadelphia, I mean, I think currently it's like 48%, but there was a time where it was like 56, 60% Black. And I was very confused as to why that from 2013 to 20, like why did it take me from 2013 to like 2015 to actually play with another person that's Black, you know? Because the thing is, I do play outside of folk and folk punk, and I just cannot find anyone that was also Black. And then also like, why is it that often someone can make something so mediocre, like production wise and lyric wise, who's not Black, and like it blows up. But then if we do the same thing, it's like, try harder, kid. You know, it almost feels like there's a double standard in terms of what's expected of you.
I guess going like in an appropriation standpoint too. I think about food trucks, and it sounds weird, but when you think about food trucks, like back then when they were ran by anybody who was Latinx or Hispanic, they called them roach coaches because
Wow. Yeah.
nobody trusted like what was inside of it. But now when you see fucking John Favreau make chef and a white guy holding a food truck, now everybody's like, this is the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
Why haven't we done this? So when you look at fucking dreads and braids, like going on white women not knowing the history behind Rastafarianism, alongside why Black women do that and how Black women are condemned for having that in the workplace. And then they're looked at as being ghetto.
Yep.
Or just ignorant. Then you see white women do it, they're known as free spirited and just whimsical. Like that is all just don't get me started on twerking. Don't get me started on twerking. But
It's very strange. And I definitely think in the multitudes of like independent music scenes, people should be called out on how there's a double standard in how they treat, you know, marginalized and non-marginalized people. because it's very easy to like post a picture like, hey, we accept, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it almost feels like the reverse engineering of like um what happened before all of our times where like they had signs that said like no blacks allowed. You know, like back then, like there were like open signs saying like no blacks allowed, no queers allowed, no disabled people allowed, et cetera, et cetera. Now we have the signs that say blacks allowed, this, that, and the third. But like the difference is then they were honest about their bigotry. Today it's like the fact you have that sign, what are you trying to prove? You know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think the solution really is about having a genuine open communication that goes beyond social media. Because like, I remember I responded to a tweet about this like a few days ago where like someone said like quiet racists are the worst racists. And I said, no, the worst ones are the honest one. And then like they asked me, what do you think can be done? And I said, like, I wish people could just be called out for like, you know, writing about the same 10 black artists every year. Because the thing is like, I do think legitimately when I started this project in 2013, I was generally one of the few black, like folk and folk punk artists, like an emo artist too, because I was really emo in 2013. Not just as a person, but like my music was emo. Um, like I really was one of two black people in the community, right? It was me and Rudy Omre Polo. And then there was another black person later that year. It was the band Mumbler. And like those two people like are not in the scene at all, but like that was what was there in Philly, right? But now, like in 2024, I feel like across every major city and town, there are active black creatives like trying to make a stance. But yet the mainstream media and underground media seem to really think like there's only like 5 or 10 black people allowed per music festival and things like that. And I don't think that's right or fair. And then when you confront it, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know. And it's like the same way you found Rat Killer and Scorpion King and Squirrel Fucker and Possum Party. These are made up folk punk names. The same way you found them is the same way you could find, you know, James O. Hennessy, Black
I would have
Alabama.
I would have believed all those were real bands. I fell for it.
Was James Hennessy an actual name?
No, honestly, I took
Oh my-
two songwriters' names and put it together. So I know a Connor O'Hennessy in Massachusetts, I know a James Davis, and they're white guys, but like James O'Hennessy sounds like a black dude from Alabama. You know what I mean?
No, I'm just saying that is our next year. That's gonna be our St. Patrick's Day album. James O'Hennessy.
There we
And
go.
we're doing all Irish drinking songs and covers.
I am 12% Irish, so let's do it.
I'm 15% Irish, so we're doing that. This happened. Marcus Podcast next year around March is coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that you brought up though that had me on social media that really made me think a lot when it comes to our community and when it comes to our community in folk punk, which is primarily for maybe like impoverished people to an extent, is I think about this a lot when you said it, but the way that we reach out for mutual aid.
Yeah.
Because I think about I went through a situation recently where I got fucked out of money from a tour that I was supposed to be on. And I had to find ways to scramble around and try to get money because I lost out on a pretty big chunk of change from that. So it for me it was a thing of I was really afraid to ask for money because I always felt like I was just begging, and I had to also have to show proof of what I was going through. Well, when I look at some of my faces when I go to just think they barely show any information at all, but yet people are willing to donate.
Yep. I see that happen a lot. And I think it's intersectional too. Like, what is your gender, the whole nine? And I don't think it's right because, especially the worse this economy's getting, like, I think mutual aid is right, but I think the way it's executed is wrong because it becomes oppression Olympics and it also becomes popularity Olympics. And that's the part I feel like can really feel isolating. Like, hey, you're in the situation you're in because you don't have enough Twitter followers. Like that feels very disgusting to me, you know? So I definitely resonate with that. And you've told me that situation is very terrible.
And when it goes representation on festivals as well. One, I'll plug them because I love these women to death, and I would take so many bullets for them. But the women of Riot Squad Media doing are doing fucking God's work by making a place that is very inclusive, both off stage and on stage for like artists and for patrons as well. So, and we need it warms my heart seeing more people that fucking look like me on that stage too. Because when I discover you, I discover Bones, Bartis, and Proper, Buffalo Nichols, and Shook and all them. I felt less alone because I knew that there's so more people around me in like or adjacent that still look like me and are about singing about the same shit as like you and I do.
True. No.
Can we also talk about how great Bones is, since she's a friend of all of us?
Yeah, I actually was
like-
just on the phone with her yesterday. So yeah.
Simply just the best human being. I love Bones so much. Just sending like the most random ass TikTok videos.
That sounds right.
I just saw one, and I got to talk about this. And shout out to MV Bones. I love that nigga to the day I die. But I saw like an old TikTok of first shotgunning coffee, like iced coffee.
Yeah, that's I think I've seen that video too.
That's the most New England thing I've ever seen before in my life.
Yeah. People really love coffee here. It's like kind of crazy.
It's like Maryland and crabs, you think, or
It's hard because it all depends on what region of New England you're in. Because like if you're in Vermont, all they care about is cheese, maple syrup, and chocolate. You know, people like really, really are about that. But if you're like in Cape Cod and North and South Shore of Boston, it's like lobster rolls. And the lobster rolls is to Maryland and crabs. So like it's broken down. But
I love me some lobster rolls.
yeah.
Granted, for $32, it better be good and it better be plump. And
True. And the good news is they have places where they're cheaper than 32. Not significantly, but significant enough to go, hey, pay 24 instead. So
The one cool thing about your city is how many bars have like hidden speakeasies in it. I just thought that was cool as somebody who likes bars.
That's an accurate fact. Yeah.
Chicago's the same way too. Like there are a lot of speakeasies in Chicago as well. When we played shows at the same venue before, like DIY the Garden, that Molly and Maxine run. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Because the best people again, two of the best people I've ever known. But I love New England area. So I've been to Rhode Island, and I've been to Boston, Alston, or
Alston is Boston. It's just a sector of it. So yeah.
no, I think this is so confusing. It's like Millvale and Pittsburgh and McKeith Rock. Like it's all just fucking Pittsburgh. Let's just call it. And not getting the semantics of it.
Yeah.
Who are people who are your ride or dies? Just out of curiosity for both of you, like who has genuinely uplifted you?
It's going to sound so crazy. She's not even in the scene, but my grandma.
Oh,
Yeah. Like I call her like almost every day, but I would say like in the scene, because this is what this is about. I would definitely say Ian's one of them. I could definitely say people such as Bartis, like granted, we don't talk often, but when we do, it's usually uplifting. I would say Taylor Kelly, who's not even a punk person, but they're in the music scene. I could definitely say my old producer, Jake Datweiler. There's a lot of people I could say like are definitely uplifting me. Or like Guy Fawkes, who's a friend of mine in the folk world, who's currently in Europe, you know, but like we're still in touch. And then we've been co-writers. A lot of people that I've worked with, I would say, like are uplifting.
I would say for me, it's probably Brian. You're one of them. You're one of the people I'll take the bullet for.
Thank you.
Or I'll probably push you head in front of it.
Thank you.
I am larger. I'm a better shield.
Gotcha.
So if it'll be you, Bones has always been in my corner. I love Bones for that. We just interviewed them too, but Micah, Schnaub, and Vanessa Jean Speckman are really just fantastic people that have been really supportive of me, and I really just want to see me succeed. Mad Flood, my label, and at the time when I was ready to put out my last record, Truth's Lullabies, he was somebody who really just kind of pushed for me to put out on vinyl and just wanted to help me out any way that he could. Lynn Lee from Bad Cop is not just one of the funniest people, but we first met when in LA, and when we met, I had to sing one of my songs on stage with me at that performance, and we were just practicing in the room. Then all of a sudden, I just noticed her tattoo that was fucking have you seen Monty Python the Holy Grail?
It's been a while, but yeah.
The wizard that John please Tim, she had tattoo right on her thigh, and we just connected right all about Monty Python and about
That's
all these
awesome.
songs. Like all the time, we still talk, and we got real close to this. And she considers me like as a brother. I consider her like as a sister as of now. Then there's Lynn. There's of course my band will always elevate me. Corey Mack, my producer Derek Shank, bass player Zach Dodge, and I love them. And of course there's Frank, but I talk about him in every podcast, so I got something about him for a little bit. Because now that I disrespect towards him, I love him till the day I die. He's the goodest boy, but I wish I wrote about him now. But I feel like those are the main people. And I mentioned Frank just because he's the one that, for him knowing that I love his music and for him to want to put me on, that meant more to me than pretty much anything. Just knowing that somebody that you're a fucking hero wants to help you elevate as much as you can, or just push you out there. That does mean a lot. I'm pretty sure there's probably other names that. Mike Miller, Endless Mike and Bugle Club. I'll love him always. I guess one of the best lyricists and one of the best musicians I've ever met before. But there's probably some other ones I'm forgetting too. And of course, there's my mother. She's going to kill me for telling this story. And but I don't give a fuck at all. You talk about your emo phase. When I was younger, when I first got into punk and emo and stuff, I discovered My Chemical Romance. She fucking hated them because they just have it so depressing and so tired and just so like bleak and emotionless. I got the Black Parade on CD, and I was uploading to iTunes, so I didn't have to fucking buy it. I just burned the CD on there. And then she changed all the song names. Like the first few songs were like the end, dead, this how I disappeared. She changed it to Happiness, Bubbles, Rainbows. Back in the day where you had like the song names on iTunes stuff. I went, fucking really? They just, all right, here's a better CD for you. Listen to this. And it was Real Big Fish. Turn the radio off.
That's funny.
I keep that to this day because that's one of my favorite records of all time. And when I started getting more into music, she gave that to me just so I can, and had me listen to Sellout just so I can understand. Just know that don't rush into anything when it comes to music. Don't sell your soul out. Just do it because you want to. So
True.
and she's been supportive of me since I just started picking up her guitar. So
That's awesome.
I'll always appreciate that woman for wanting to elevate me and just push me to do better, not just the music, but just in life in general. But that's just she owes me a new CD. So I'll tell her.
I love that. And also, I got to shout out Your Mom Records. Yeah.
I thought you were about to shout out my mom too. I'm like,
That's
oh, shit.
exactly what I was thinking. And for
No,
the
no,
Glared
no.
record,
Shout out to your mom.
I was like, oh, we're
Yeah.
playing the dozens now.
And my bandmates, Justin, Liam, Bryce.
Yeah, I feel like I forgot more people in it. Brianna Merkel, I love her. She's one of my close local friends, and Megan Jean and Bern Clyde. When I went through the hardest year of my life, they're the ones that picked me up and just said, "Hey, we're here for it. We're here for you. You got this, and we're not going anywhere." So them in the scene, my friend Austin Gillens, outside the scene, he's always been there for me. Rob Denver and Dig Deep, and there's so many others. So I always appreciate them. And that said, we're gonna have some more fun because now it's time for our favorite game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Guys, motherfucker. We are going to be asking you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I need your Mount Rushmore of Dunkin' Donuts coffee orders.
Cold brew with caramel, no cream, no sugar.
Is that your only order? You don't have like 3 other ones?
That's
that you
my
do?
only order. That's
Fuck
all-
it, it's just
that's all
one. He's getting a Washington Monument of it or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
yeah.
appropriately a dumb thing to call a one answer game.
I've been mango refresher, but that's not even that often. So
Honestly, I had one, I guess, one of their energy drinks or whatever that maybe make that. I'm not sure what it's called, but it was just Rockstar Energy with like a lot of blue raspberry syrup. Like this
Oh
is
yeah.
tastes like diabetes. Like it tastes
I
like
believe it. I never
Like,
had
what-
it, but I believe it.
I'm like, no, I'm already prone to diabetes and high blood pressure, so I can't be drinking this
Yeah.
shit.
No.
Starbucks or Dunkin'? Now I need to know.
I'm gonna say Dunkin' because Dunkin' gets straight to the point, and Starbucks is like basically diabetes store.
Their coffee is also just bad. It's
Yeah.
badly done. I'm a snob.
Yeah.
Can't help it. Mount Rushmore of major musical influences on you and your style.
I would say Radiohead. I would say Michael Jordan touchdown pass, and then I would also say guys, and then
Yeah, one
Wilco.
more.
Yeah, then I would say Wilco.
Well, so that now I can ask you. Mount Rushmore Radiohead albums.
I'm going to say N Rainbows, The Bends, OK Computer, and my big three.
I never pegged you as a Wilco fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like every Wilco fan, but there are definitely songs like You and I and Impossible Germany that definitely influence A Day Without Love. But like, if you're getting into that more like, you know, country boring stuff, we go to bed to that. But like, Wilco's got a very large catalog, and like, their range inspires me. So
I kind of missed out on them and Uncle Tupelo, but I do love reading his books about
Yeah.
music, about songwriting, about songs. Like I love it in that respect. So now I listen to a little bit more than I used to. How about this? Mount Rushmore of now, both Ian and I don't believe in guilty pleasures usually, so that's the preface to this. But Mount Rushmore of musical guilty pleasures, or what would be considered one.
I would say Deep Space's Diver just for the tone, followed by Cocky King, also for the tone and the rhythms, Lady Lamb, and then I would also say Kenny Mason. And I'm aware that all four of them can't sound any more different. Like, yeah, I would say those are my four guilty pleasures that I come back to quite often.
We have not talked about this. I see you keep mentioning it all the time online. But what is the best seltzer? What is the best brand of seltzer that you'll stand?
I think it's a big tie between Waterloo and Polar. Waterloo can't fail me. Like, their pineapple's great, their grapes great, black raspberry's great. I think the best flavor in general, no matter the brand, is black raspberry. No, it's black cherry. And then for Polar, I like all of them. And because I live where I live, I get to get the flavors that don't go anywhere. They're like hyper local flavors. Like, there's like kiwi, pomegranate, cherry. Like, I don't think that's a real flavor, but like, that's the type of stuff they do. But you know, I still like my basic black cherry with Polar.
LaCroix, overrated or underrated? Also, how do you say it? Do you say LaCroix or do you say LaCroix?
I say LaCroix because I'm crazy. I think it's pretty overrated. Like, it's good seltzer, but I think some people that are a fan of it, they're like fish fans. Like, people think the only music is fish. LaCroix's not the only water. So yeah.
I need you back on the podcast so we can have like an all fish slander podcast because
Oh yeah, I don't like that genre of music at all. So
I'm sure they're lovely people, but I fucking hate fish.
I just
Yeah,
like
I-
songs to end.
exactly.
There's some comedian. I think he said jam bands are just 5 step-dads don't know how to end a song. I'm like, that is the most accurate description
Yeah, I would agree with
I've
that
ever heard
statement too.
before in my fucking life.
Yeah,
Well-
I like that take.
Who is the only bucket list to tour with?
So like within my immediate network, these are people that I haven't toured with. I would definitely say it would be really awesome to do a tour of Michael Jordan touchdown pass. I think it'd be really cool to tour with O'Malley from Cincinnati. I would like to go on tour with Bunties. Like, granted, we played shows, we've never done a tour. I'd like to tour with you. And then I think another band that would be pretty cool to tour with is Black Hippie. Because like when I slept over at Josh's house, I felt like I had a second sibling. And like right in, it wasn't for long. They're just like a cool person. So like I definitely think those would be some good bands to tour with. Outside of my genre, like, call this crazy, but I feel like a tour with Olivia Rodrigo would be pretty cool. Like, we're so different. Like, but I think that'd be cool if that makes any sense. Or with Demi Lovato, that'd be a pretty cool person to tour with. Also, that like people that are like really like big acts. I think it would be cool to tour with Sharon Don Eden. She's like pretty great. I would love to tour with Willow Smith. That would be pretty cool. And then Tierra Whack would also be pretty cool to tour with. Yeah, I guess that's my list of like famous and like a media network type people.
We will tour together.
Yeah, for sure.
I can see that. It should be you, me, Sugar and Bones.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I've hosted Shug at my house. We've never played a show, but I like,
She seems like good people. Brian, it has been so much fun having you on this. I'm really glad we got to do her.
thanks for letting me be here. So yeah, this is cool.
And is there anything else you want to let other people know what's coming up with Day Without Love?
A lot of new variants in the record. I'm just gonna be touring. A new record is being written, but it won't be coming out this year. I will be like a 2025 and 2026. Yeah, if you want to support me, just buy something. I'm always selling something. I got a Patreon where I'm dropping a new song every week. Thanks, Ad, for being part of that community. It's only $3 a month. And yeah, I look forward to touring and traveling and being around more. It feels good. Thanks for having me.
And local friends, local-ish friends. You can see both of these guys playing together at The Deep End on May 10th.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, Brian, thank you for doing this. I love you till the day I die.
I love you too.
DIY until I die.
DIY
And
or
whatnot.
that? Exactly.
This show is the brainchild of Black Guy Fawkes, folk punk trio. You can find him on all the social medias as Black Guy Fawkes or Black Guy Fawkes Music, as well as on his website, blackguyfawkes.com. The intro and outro are both from the song New American Meltdown by Black Guy Fawkes, so that's legally covered because this is his podcast, and that is his song, available on the album Life, Love, and the Bomb. Additional music elements provided by Fab Shop Music, a royalty-free music subscription service for podcast hosts and YouTube creators. More info at fabshopmusic.com. Sound design and editing by Ed Cunard, who appears courtesy of his dog and many, many cats. Cover art by Jacob Matthews, a pal who has been down since day one. Fawkes and Friends is hosted on Spotify for podcasters. Listen on Spotify for the best experience. Finally, while Fawkes and Friends firmly believes that punk rock is and should be a safe space, we know it can't be safe for everyone without excluding bad elements. So remember.
So tell your local Nazis and your fascists to fuck off.
I think you both are muted.
I was literally trying to tell him that he was muted while I was muted. Yeah. You can tell him the brains, right?
Jesus Christ.